What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench podcast network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome into another edition of the Changeup, the World Series preview edition of the Changeup, as we are recording Monday, the 24th of October, 2022. With me, as always, my co-host, Bryanna Winner. You can find Bryanna at bwinner12. How you doing today?
I'm okay. We all know who everybody wants to win this World Series unless you're in Houston.
Yeah, it's there's going to be a lot of unity around baseball and around the United States outside of the
pretty much
Houston
nobody
area.
cared who won the Yankees Astros game as long as whoever won the NLCS what came out as on top.
Yeah, it was like the
Nobody cares as long as it was either the Padres or Phillies coming out on top.
yeah, I agree.
It's quite funny.
It's very, very
That's how much
ironic.
everybody hates the Yankees and the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everybody hates the Astros more.
I think so. I don't know about everybody, but I myself, I just because of history and all that stuff, I probably hold a gun to my head. I hate the Yankees until the Astros get 28 World Series.
As long as the Astros didn't win, I didn't care.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when the Guardians were playing them. That's how I felt when the Yankees played them. And I don't like the Yankees, but I would rather have them over Houston.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the other side of that one. Like I said, no matter what.
Well, I guess people are kind of pissed because Game 1 in Houston is also when Phillies, or one of the games is when also the Eagles are in Houston.
Oh, interesting.
So both teams are going to be in Houston. They're
I believe
Houston, do we have a problem?
I believe next Thursday. Don't quote me on it, but I believe, because I know the Eagles play the Steelers this weekend.
Yeah, do they have Thursday night football this week or next week?
I think next week. Or no, hold on.
If the app would load, it'd be appreciated.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Anyways, we'll focus here on on baseball side of things. We will obviously break down both LCS series, much to the chagrin of me, but got to do my part and talk about the NLCS as much as I don't want to. Sorry,
it would be next week.
Okay, yeah. So next Thursday, Eagles, Texans, and possibly Astros, Phillies. That'll be an interesting one.
Houston.
Both in Houston. Oof.
Oh boy.
Grease those poles, Houston. Grease those poles. But anyways, before we dive into the LCS recaps and of course looking ahead to the World Series recaps, we did have a little bit of news kind of snuck in this past week while everyone was focused on the LCS. The Texas Rangers announced the successor to Chris Woodward, and it's a veteran and someone that I'm very familiar with. Giants fans are very familiar with, and I think baseball fans really, if you've been following baseball for the last 20 years, Bruce Bochy gets back into the dugout. He is taking control of the Texas Rangers. This is right up Bryanna's alley. She'll be facing Bruce Bochy and those Rangers probably 18 to 19 times a year next year. Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Rangers naming Bruce Bochy as the newest manager in their history.
Well, for some reason, I also thought White Sox had announced something. I don't know. I thought I saw something with Houston's bench coach going somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I just read it wrong. I mean, the Rangers could use all the help they can get, but not as bad as the A's kind of need the help right now. Look, the A's just plummeted between last year and this year, but the Rangers definitely could use all the help they get. They did do actually pretty decent this year, considering what everybody thought was going to happen. So, I mean, I think it's just a step in the right direction for Texas.
I think it's a huge.
I don't like it, but
I think it's a huge upgrade. It's kind of similar to what the Padres did this past offseason, where they go from Jace Tingler, who is, everyone knows my thoughts on Jace Tingler, but at the very least, he's a young manager. He's inexperienced. That's the no opinion necessary. That's just what it is. And then the Padres go out and get Bob Melvin, who's very experienced, who's been there, done that. And same thing here with the Astros. They hired Chris Woodward, rookie manager, thought, hey, maybe this is the guy. Didn't happen. they immediately transitioned to that veteran manager. The interesting thing for me, I think a huge vote of confidence for the Rangers is Bruce Bochy coming out of retirement to essentially do this. And I know technically he had said the last 2 off seasons he's not retired. He still wants to coach, but he's older and he hasn't managed in a few years. So I think retirement was a very easy thing to assume, but he looked at the Rangers roster and obviously said, you know what, I'll come out and, I'll go out there to Arlington and give you 6 months of my time and see what I can do for you. And you brought up the A's. Let me just put it to you this way. If the A's were the only team to call Bruce Bochy, I think Bruce Bochy would stay retired. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm not an insider. I don't know Bruce. I don't know any inside, but I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. If the A's were the only team that was calling, Bruce Bochy was going to say, you know what, it's been real Major League Baseball, but I'm riding off into the sunset. But just my opinion on that one. But I agree with you. I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, you're going to need some of those big contracts that you signed last year to really step up. Corey Seager wasn't terrible, but you're going to need, I'm just completely blanking on the second baseman who signed the big contract last off. I almost had it. Anyways, that shows you the season he's had. I played for the Blue Jays last year. Second base, broke the record for, most home runs by a second baseman, signs a massive deal. And I believe the All-Star break was hitting 190. So didn't get it done there. I want to say Gene Segura, but I know for a fact it's not Gene Segura because I've been having nightmares of Gene Segura. Anyways, it will come to me at some point. But with that, it's time to look ahead, or look back, I should say, at the league championship series recaps. And we'll kind of look first at the American League champion.
There's no recap. There literally is like no recap.
It's a pretty quick one. But yeah,
what do you expect? They got swept.
Yeah, Bryanna said it was a very, very quick and painless series for the Astros.
Pain for New York, painless for everybody else, considering what they had been doing the entire series, because they would get a lead and then they would lose it and then lose the game. Like they were up 3-0 yesterday and then lost it.
Twice, I believe. I think they gave it up 3-3 and then they went up 5-3. And lost 6-3, 6-5, I believe was the final.
There's really no recap. They just blew it.
And you know what's the sad part about that? Game 4, as much of a kind of choke job as that was the best game for the Yankees. Offensively, by far, they were dominated in Houston. It's 30 strikeouts in the first 2 games. That just shows you the difference. You have the Astros that, love them or hate them, they don't strike out a ton. They put the ball in play. They force you to get them out. And that really showed kind of the converse side of that with the Yankees, who 30 strikeouts in 2 games. I mean, I guarantee you I could pull up a Tony Gwynn stat that would say he might have had 3 or 4 seasons combined striking out 30 times, let alone in 2 games. But that's an interesting one.
I think that's most players. I think that's pretty much most players.
Well, there would be something crazier than for Tony Gwynn, but it was a bad look for the Yankees. And I'll tell you this right now.
I still commend them for staying healthy.
Yeah, it's true. They at least did that. But I will say this, looking ahead, and I know the Yankee fans were frustrated. The tickets for Game 4, I believe during the week, we're looking around like $200. By the time game time rolled around, you could find some for $7, I believe is what I read. So yeah, nice.
They knew it.
Oh yeah, they knew. Believe me, they knew.
They knew.
But I think
to sell out because they knew they were going to lose.
Yeah, a really bad look for the Yankees and the Yankees fans is booing Aaron Judge when in 2 weeks, suitors are going to be lining up to pay him a lot of money. And as much as Aaron Judge loves the Yankees and loves playing for the Yankees, I think he will take a moment and think, man, I hit 62 home runs. I broke Roger Maris's record. And then in the playoffs, I'm getting booed. And it wasn't just the Houston Astros series. He was getting booed against the Guardians too. I don't know if that's a great look for a franchise that's trying to bring a guy back that didn't sign a contract extension while he had the chance. So I don't know. I'm sure enough money gets put in front of Aaron Judge. I mean, you put enough money in front of me, anybody can boo me. I don't care. But at the same time, if you have other opportunities and maybe you won't get booed, I think that's a better opportunity. So Yankees, Astros, as quick as it gets, get your brooms out. 4-0. Astros heading off to another World Series, 4th World Series in the last 6 years. Congratulations to them. Look, I'll give it to them. All right, fair enough. Bryanna won't, but I will say congratulations.
No.
Moving on to this one's going to be a little tougher for me. The NLCS.
You need to mute up.
No.
Okay.
No, it's to me, I'll be honest with you, it's still a little raw right now. Obviously, the Phillies win in 5 games. They take game 1, they lose game 2, and then win all 3 games in Philadelphia this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A lot of questions are going to be asked. Bob Melvin, probably outside of Bruce Bochy, the best manager the Padres have ever had in my lifetime. Maybe he's better than Bruce Bochy. I don't know, but just saying he's on that level. No other manager in my lifetime has been on that level. Bob Melvin forgets more about baseball while he's using the restroom than I will ever know in my life. And I totally understand that. But goodness gracious, there were a lot of questions that I need to be answered. Game 4, if you're going to start with a righty, you need to start with Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez has been so good out of the bullpen, and he's started games in the past. Clevenger has been trash the last month. And guess what happens? You give Clevenger a 4-run lead, and immediately it is 4-4. Or actually it was 4-3, but eventually turned into 4-4. Padres lose 10-6 in that one. I don't know. Huh.
To be fair, the Phillies also pulled their pitcher in the first inning. So
I'm just talking about what Bob Melvin's decision. He didn't have anything to do with this. This was just Bob Melvin's decision to go with Mike Clevenger. And it blew up in his face. I don't know if Nick Martinez starts that game. I don't know if the Padres win, but if Nick Martinez starts that game, I know for a fact it's not 4-3 going into the top of the second. He survives the second inning. Now, I will say this to all my gambling friends out there. I'm a big fan of what I call the emotional hedge. If your team is playing a big game and they're favored, bet the other team. Because you know what? If the other team wins, at least you win some money. So you know what Brandon did? Yes, I'm talking in the third person for this segment. Brandon went after it's 4-0. We getting ready to go to the bottom of the first. Brandon hops on his phone, hops on to Bovada, gets the Phillies at plus 500, puts $10 on him, wins 50 when it's all said and done. Believe me, it sucked. I hate watching my team lose, but $50 to put into the gambling account, you just got to shrug and go, you know what, if my team's going to choke, I'm going to profit, damn it. But also the other question that I had, and this was mainly on yesterday's game, obviously the Bryce Harper home run, 2-run bomb that just, it ended it. It ended the season. It was not a great day yesterday, but there were a lot of people talking, why don't you walk Bryce Harper there? First and foremost, you are never putting the go-ahead run on base that late in the game. I don't care who it is. You're not doing it. And if you do, you need to find a new manager. You need to, at that point in the game, you got to go out and get the job done and get the guy out. My question, however,
you do go back to Little League.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, I don't know if Little League might not want you, maybe T-ball or something, but you might need to go all the way down. But my big question on Sunday with Bob, in terms of Bob Melvin, was why did we not go to Josh Hader to face Bryce Harper? I know you're asking a guy to get 6 outs, but really that's the last hurdle of the game. No disrespect to the rest of the Phillies lineup, who's really good, but Bryce Harper is the one guy, and I know Castellanos is coming up next, but he's that one guy that just strikes the fear of God in you. And it wasn't a terrible pitch by Suarez. It was on the outer half. Bryce Harper, you got to tip your hat to him. He took a 99-mile-an-hour fastball off the corner and put it in the left field. He put his team into the World Series. My question would have been, why don't you bring in the lefty Hader? It's essentially the last game of the season for you. You don't worry about how Hader feels the next day, because there is no next day. Today is the next day, and there is no day. Anyways, I will say this, though. I've been a fan that I can remember since 1995. My mom corrected me and said, I've been a fan since 1991 when I was 3 years old. I just couldn't remember that. But anyways, I've been a fan that I could remember since 1995. So it's been, 27 seasons of Padres baseball. This season, in terms of success, has been the second most successful season in Padres history in my lifetime. I can't get upset at that. I can get upset that, maybe this didn't go our way or not, but you know what? The Padres, I think, used all their magic and all their energy to get by the Dodgers, and they just didn't have anything left. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Next year, we'll have Tatis back. We'll have pretty much everyone else back. Hopefully, we won't have Mike Clevenger here. We won't have Sean Manaea. We'll not have to deal with all that BS. Anybody wants Trent Grisham, give me a call. Send a few baseballs my way. I'll even pay the shipping on the baseballs. I'm ready to get Grisham out of here. But with that being said, really, really good season from the Padres. Heartbroken, but I'm also excited for the future. But Bryanna, what were your thoughts on the somewhat quick NLCS?
I mean, honestly, if my team played like they had, I wouldn't care what the outcome was. I'm just proud that they got that far. And my team has two of the best players in baseball, and we still can't get there. So, and you guys beat the Dodgers. So I will gladly take whatever.
Yeah.
Even if it's even if it's Phillies, I don't care. As long as you beat the Dodgers, I don't care what happens.
I was kind of telling my mom, it kind of felt like, if you're familiar with the Miracle on Ice, a lot of people, everyone, for the most part, but everyone remembers the United States beating Russia.
Well, that was live, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But the big part of it is that wasn't the gold medal game. That was the semifinal.
Yep.
Now the United States ended up going on and winning the gold medal in the next game. I don't know who they
Sweden
beat.
or Finland. I know it was one of the two.
Sorry?
Was it Sweden or Finland? I know it was one of the two.
I want to say Finland, because it was either Czech Republic or Finland for me, but I don't know. I wasn't born in Sweden. But anyways, it's just kind of that same thing, though, where, you have that big climax for the Padres and they beat the Dodgers. I felt like we won the World Series when we beat the Dodgers. Now, I also know I've never actually felt what it's like to win a World Series. So what do I know? But that's as close as I've ever felt to it. And then you kind of take a step back and go, hold on, we still got 2 more series to get through. It was almost kind of like, we did what we needed to do. I don't want to keep doing, you know what I mean? And I am proud of the Padres. When I look back on this season, it will be very, very fond memories, but it still hurts. I'm still bummed. It was still a tough day at the office today, but.
So if you had the Dodgers then for the NLCS and then went to face the Astros, do you think it would have been like the same as it was against the Phillies, where they just had nothing left to give?
No. Or I'm sorry, are you saying like if the Dodgers eliminated the Padres?
No, if the Padres had eliminated the Dodgers in the NLCS.
Oh.
And then went to the World Series against Astros.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Maybe. I think so, and maybe even more so, because really it takes that extra game, right? Like the Padres were obviously, it was a best of 5, but if it was a best of 7, you can kind of look at it and go, okay, the Padres have 3 chances to put this away. I will say this, it would have been very, very, I think it would have been another one of those situations. So yes, I'm going to say they would have had to use all their magic regardless. Yeah, I had to kind of talk my way through that one. Yeah, sorry for that's how my mind works. That was a great question.
You're fine.
I was not expecting that, but no, I do think it was just.
Well, you were the one that mentioned that they pretty much had nothing left, and you're like, oh no, we've got 2 series left. So that's why I'm like, so what would have happened if you beat the Dodgers in the NLCS and then went to the Astros? Yeah. Would you had anything left to give?
Yeah, I don't think so. I know for me personally, I don't know if I would have survived those 2 series, especially if it was game 7. If somehow, some way the NLCS went to game 7, no, Brandon's going to need someone to check on him a lot during that one. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, we both want the NL side to win because of the Astros. And the NL has the best team in it right now, in the Phillies, at least when it comes to the Padres. I'm sure the Braves fans and Dodger fans will have something to say, but in terms of the Padres, Phillies were the better team.
That's fans too.
Huh?
Mets fans too.
Oh,
I think
yeah, Mets too.
if you can beat the Mets in the first round and then like just demolish everybody else, no offense, but and then make it to the World Series, I'd want to root for that team.
Well, we beat
Like,
the Mets. They beat the Cardinals.
oh shoot.
That's okay.
You know what?
It's
It's been
it's
a
all
long
good.
run. It's been a long run, and my brain is mixing things up.
Well, and it's also our first year with the extra round, right? It's the first time we've had the football playoffs, if you will, with the buys. So, but yeah, it's
But my brain is tired. Like I had a feeling I was gonna mix those two
Marcus
up.
Simeon. That's who I was talking about in the beginning, the second baseman. Sorry, Marcus Simeon. Um, yeah,
It took through almost the
it
entire.
took us almost. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but I got it. Marcus Simeon. Go back and listen to it and just put him in there. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's been a crazy weekend for me, and I'm sure Bryanna, as you could hear, we're getting through it. But now it's time to look ahead, and we are looking far ahead because we are recording Monday the 24th. They're not playing baseball in the World Series till Friday. So a lot of time to get ready, whether that's good or bad, we shall see. But the World Series is set, and we're going to kind of do what we did last week when we broke down the National League Championship Series. We're going to kind of break it down in terms of who has the advantage offensively, defensively, on the mound, and then we'll make the picks, who wins and how many games. Bryanna, I'll give you the honors first. Offensively, who has the advantage, Houston or Philadelphia?
Oh no. I think it just is gonna be a matter of who's where in the lineup because, like you said, Bryce Harper really is the only one that puts the fear in you. Yes, they have other people that could hit like Schwarber and, like you said, Castellanos, but it's like, how well rounded are both teams like lineups going to be against each other? Because we don't know any of the lineups at this point. We don't know if somebody, who knows, might get injured in practice. We don't know.
Do it. You got to go out on a limb.
I'm only doing this because I really want this team to win. Phillies.
I think this is the closest.
You feel my pain then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I might have a little bit recency bias, but I agree with you. I think Philly is the one here, and like you said, now Schwarber can hurt you, Hoskins can hurt you. Goodness gracious knows he did 3 home runs in that LCS.
Hey,
He hurt
Schwarber,
me
I think
lot.
is just happy to be back.
And Schwarber had a pretty good LCS too. And then you also have JT Realmuto as well. But the one thing about those other guys besides Bryce Harper is there's a scouting report to get Realmuto, Schwarber, Hoskins, Castellanos. There are scouting reports on how to get those guys out. I don't know if there's a scouting report on how to get Bryce Harper out. I mean, you can get him out, but the guy, at least lately, he's hitting north of 400. I mean, we're going into the World Series. This guy has close to 5 or 6 home runs. He's hitting over 400. He's putting together some Reggie Jackson type stuff in terms of postseason performances. I'm going to take the Phillies. I just think they're a little deeper top to bottom, especially what I saw this past weekend against the Padres pitchers. I will give the advantage as well to the Phillies. But now in terms of the defensive side of things, I'll start this one off. This is another really easy one with all due respect.
How are you giving me the pitchers? Like,
yeah. I'll go first if you want me to, but defensive side of things, this one's pretty simple, at least for me. It's Houston. The Phillies are at best average defensively. Padres probably maybe should have been swept if it wasn't for some, lackadaisical defense on Wednesday. Game 2 was still in San Diego, the one game the Padres won. I just think the Astros are a better team defensively. I think they have the major advantage here. Bryanna, who has the advantage in the field?
I mean, obviously certain positions would be different if you were going by separate positions, but I would also say Houston, and the pitching lineups are going to be very close to like offensive. I'm not looking forward to this.
Yeah. I'll go first. I'll lay the groundwork for you.
I was really hoping it would have been Padres versus Astros, and
well,
I had a clear thing in mind.
I also really wanted that. Nothing to do with the podcast, but yeah, I also really
but I think we would have had a better idea. of
Yeah.
all of this.
Oh yeah, I agree,
Padres.
unfortunately. But I'll start the pitching side of it off. I really do think, unfortunately, the Astros have the advantage here. It is very close. Um, Justin Verlander is, I don't know where he's getting this elixir of life or youth. But he's been really good. He's probably going to win the Cy Young this year, and he's continued that into the postseason as well. This was a guy who, 2 years ago, was a 37-year-old coming off of Tommy John, and now it looks like he's going to
Wasn't he
win.
injured for most of that season too?
Oh, he
Anyway,
missed the entire season, and I think a little
no,
bit
I don't
more.
think it was just Tommy John. I think it like what back and
Okay,
ankle or something. Like what?
probably, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
understand Verlander.
And he's come back, and he is on just incredible. And you got Christian Javier, Framber Valdez, Lance McCullers. I mean, that 1, 2, 3, 4 is, look,
Deadly.
yeah, Wheeler and Nola can go 1-2 with Verlander, and then either Valdez or Garcia, however you want to mix that one up. But in terms of the whole starting pitching, and then you bring the bullpen into it, I think the Phillies, at least going head to head on the pitching side of things, I think it's going to be tough. I give the edge to the Astros. Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Who gets the edge on the pitching in your mind?
I really want it to be Phillies, but I know it's not the Phillies. I do have a question for you though regarding Nola.
Uh-huh.
How did you feel about the brother duo going up against each other?
I thought it
Not
worked.
knowing who to root for.
Yeah, well, I think those parents are the luckiest people in the world, except for those 3 hours when their team's playing or the kids are playing each other. Because every other time you're literally telling people, not only do I have two kids playing Major League Baseball, but they're both,
Because
you know,
I think
at,
their dad had like the Padres jersey underneath the Phillies
yep,
jersey and vice versa. And
yeah. He was definitely conflicted, as you could imagine. But I think it's a great problem to have for a parent. Obviously, Aaron is going to be happy and Austin is not. But Austin did get a huge hit off of Aaron in that game. And I know earlier in the year he got a big hit. The only hit, or the only he scored, or he drove in the only run against Aaron Nola earlier this year when the Padres played the Phillies. And he had said, I got the ball and I'm going to give it to him at Thanksgiving as a little gift for him. My question is, do you bring the second ball into it to now? But he'll be happy. I think Austin, be happy he got a hit or two off of his brother, but obviously Aaron, he won the war. Austin might have won the battle, but Aaron won the war. He's the one still playing baseball. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Austin in Philadelphia or Houston with that with his family cheering on Aaron. Ugh, can't believe I got through that with only one hiccup. But yeah, he'll be cheering on Aaron Nola.
let's not forget the Contreras brothers, and there was another pair of brothers that had to play each other like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they are, I believe, the first pitcher catcher combo ever. I know the Alomar brothers in 96 or 97 were the last brothers to face each other in an LCS. So some history for the Nola boys. Good for them. That'll be interesting. But now it's time of reckoning. Yep, and
No.
Bryanna gets to go first. She's going to go out on a limb. Bryanna, who wins the World Series and how many games does it take?
The real question is how many games does it take?
Yeah.
Oh, I really, really want the Phillies to win, but I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be the Astros, and I don't know how many. You can't pay me enough to tell me.
All right, fair enough.
I can't tell you because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, yeah, none of us know, but
I mean, we hope it goes 7, but we
I
don't
agree.
know.
Well, I hope it goes 4 and Philly wins all 4. Let's be honest.
That is very true. But if not, we hope it goes 7 and they're tied going into it, but we can't tell you because we don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I really want the Phillies to win, and that's even, being essentially 24 hours from them ending our season. And it's not for hate for the Astros, mainly because I think there are enough people in the world that hate the Astros. I don't need to be the other person. They weren't the only team doing it. They were the only team that got caught, bleep them, put up your middle finger towards them. But I really want the Phillies to win this series. I really do. Obviously my Philadelphia roots with my dad. It was tough this weekend as well. That was another thing. Social media, about half of the things I follow on social media are Philadelphia regional sports. So every other post is either poor Padres or unbelievable Phillies. It was a tough day to be going through social media yesterday, but that is the definition of first world problems right there. But no, I want to say the Phillies, but I can't. I think the Astros do it in 6. I'd love for this to go 7, like you said, but I think the Astros get it done in 6. The Phillies are a very good team at home. They haven't lost at home yet. That place is, rocking every single time. And it's only going to get bumped up to 11 in the World Series. The one thing that's very interesting in this series is you have 2 ballparks that are very similar. I mean, Houston, I don't know how right-handers don't just constantly hit bombs. I mean, it's like 320 to left field. Yeah, there's a big wall, but it's not the green monster. I mean, you get enough loft and you're going to be hitting for days. And Citizens Bank Ballpark is the same way. They both are very small ballparks, very hitter friendly. You don't see that too often in a series where both ballparks are heavily one way or the other. Astros in 6, unfortunately, but I really do hope we get to laugh at ourselves and be like, I can't believe we slept on the Phillies after they swept the Astros. But
Hey, we both know who we want to win, so I don't think it matters. Either way, we want the Phillies to win. We just hope they can come out of it, but we don't think they can because of obviously pitching and defense.
Yeah,
offense, yes,
they offense can go toe to toe.
Yeah, offense they can go toe to toe, but you can't win without defense.
Yeah,
or pitching.
Well, and the other thing too, also, Houston is not a bad offensive team. They're not on the level, and going back to the defensive side of things, you make a few errors in the game, they are going to make you pay. Sometimes with the Yankees, hey, you get into a situation, you can just go strike the next 2 guys out, no big deal. The Astros are going to put the ball in play, and against a team that's not very good defensively, that's what we used to say all the time. Don't just make them make a play. Just make them make the play. And that's a tough ask sometimes for the Phillies. But we shall see. Hopefully we are both wrong. But we're out there for y'all, and we gave us our actual picks and what we think will happen, not what we hate it. Yeah, it's even tough.
If we really hate it.
Yeah, we're both gonna go throw up after the podcast. But Bryanna,
I just commend you for being able to pick a number of games.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to get to 6 if you're the Phillies. But I think if they can win one of the first 2 games in Houston, watch out. But on the other side, it's not the end of the world if they go back to Philly down 0-2, because like I said, they haven't lost at home. Now they'll have plenty of work to do. You're going to have to win a game in Houston, more than likely, if you're a Philly. But we shall see. And another thing that's really interesting, and I know the reason why it is, but a 5-day layoff
they probably thought the series were going to go longer, especially ALCS, but because of the 2 teams, we knew coming in that the Yankees were just not going to get done.
It's just, I don't know if obviously, tickets have been sold and things like that, but somebody can't just yell an audible and go, hey, you know what, we're going to go on Thursday or we're going to go on Wednesday, because in baseball, sometimes a bit of a layoff is not always great, but both teams are going to have to deal with it. So it's not like anyone has an advantage. It's just after pretty much the last 2 weeks of baseball every single night, we're going to have a little bit of a wait before we get into the fall classic. But Bryanna, that's all we got this time. Give us your final thoughts as we get ready for the World Series.
Hey, if the Mariners had won that game, they definitely would have needed that layoff.
There you go. That's true. And that's the other thing. The Astros, 7-0 in the postseason? I think they are I forgot who it was. I heard it yesterday who the other 2 teams were that went into the World Series undefeated. in the postseason. I don't know who those two teams were. However, I do know both of those teams lost in the World Series. So I do remember that part of the little factoid I got last night on the telecast. So
we hope will be true.
yeah,
but
maybe that's what we need. Let's get the Astros undefeated in the postseason all the time, and they just lose in the World Series.
no,
Yeah, that's a bit much.
that's
But
a little too much.
yeah, but that's all we have for you today. Obviously, myself, I'm just glad I was able to, put on a happy face, or at least put on a face today, fight through the end of season depression that I'm not used to. I mean, it's hockey season. My buddy had tickets to a local hockey game down the San Diego Gulls down the road on Friday night, and I went, I'm not used to turning down hockey tickets to watch the Padres because we don't play in October, folks. But we did this year, and it was a good problem to have. But once again, congratulations on the Padres. It was a really fun season for someone as like myself who has had a lot of different F word seasons. So
Now, if the Angels could do the same.
oh yeah.
Hey,
we might be getting greedy now.
I can hope. They did so well at the start. I can hope.
Yeah. I will ask you a question before we head out.
No.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the reports about Ohtani, but apparently on his return to Japan, he's told some people pretty close to him that he is not happy with the
I thought
Angels.
he signed a 1-year extension. I thought he signed it contract.
This was like a week ago. He was talking to somebody, and he just kind of said he does not have a very good feeling about what's going on with the Angels. I was just wondering if that scared you at all.
I didn't even see that. I thought he signed something for another year.
Well, I do believe he avoided arbitration. But I know it wasn't a major extension. But I just saw something, last week that, he wasn't terribly happy with how things are going in Anaheim.
People are like, Ohtani to Texas? He's not going to Texas.
Not going to Texas. I hate to say it.
That is one of those teams where I don't think he'd go to.
I think if I'm a betting man, I hate to say it, I think he trades in.
Early rumors, Blue Jays are going to try to get an Ohtani trade, really badly.
Well, like I said, if I'm a betting man and he's not in with the Angels next year, I think he's still in that same city, but he's wearing blue.
Ooh.
I hate to say it, but
I gotta send you this tweet.
Perfect.
Just for the picture.
All right. Well, with that, thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Changeup presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. It's time for y'all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon. Take care.